Every day we stray further from basic human intelligence. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to the Thunderdome. And before we jump in and do the thing, this video is sponsored by Surfshark Alert, which is different to normal Surfshark, which makes it much more fun and exciting. Booyah. Now, this isn't the video I had planned for this week, but this is something that disturbs me greatly. So as with everything that I do, if I have to see something and feel sad and agitated, so do you. Which makes this a relationship of beautiful give and take. Except that it's mostly just me making you sad. So I stumbled upon this story and a series of related disconcerting tweets in the last number of days that directly concern the beer bug and children. Which, for the purposes of this video not getting aggressively attacked by YouTube, we're going to call the sniffles for the remainder of this video.
Yum, yum.
Because if we aren't talking about rainbows and butterflies, YouTube doesn't want it. Which I guess by extension means that it doesn't want me, but you know, what else is new? Now, regardless if you agree or disagree with the many goings on over the last year or so, I think that the majority of us can, at least in some way, agree that common sense as a general rule has definitely taken its leave in many cases. And this particular case has really alarmed me. In late February, a region in Ontario called Peel, why is this stuff always in Canada? And why is it called Peel? Issued guidelines instructing parents to isolate their children, including young ones, in a separate room away from all family members for 2 weeks in the event that one of their classmates tested positive for the sniffles. Okay. That is enough planet for me today. The fact sheet that explains this also outlines that a child must eat in a separate room and use a separate bathroom if possible, because, I don't know, science, I guess. Anyone exposed to the sniffles is directed to self-isolate at home away from others in the home as much as possible. That includes children. Do you reckon that you'd ever put your kids in solitary confinement if they were sick? Ew, I don't want a kid. They're like resource-stealing poop factories. I'd rather buy 50 cats. Maybe I should buy 50 cats. And Twitter, being the gift that keeps on giving that it is, demonstrated to us that parents are very willing, perhaps too willing, to put their children in solitary confinement because daddy government said so.
Oh yes, daddy.
There are many things in life that I doubt. How mad these tweets are gonna make you guys is not one of them. And honestly, it should. In the same way that people stealing your credit card information should make you mad, which is why today's video is sponsored by Surfshark Alert. Surfshark Alert gives you the ability to scan the internet and see if personal information like passwords, social security numbers, credit card numbers, email addresses, and other personal information has been leaked online. Which is honestly horrifying, and when I initially downloaded this, I was scared to look. Because I'm a baby. Surfshark Alert will notify you if your data has been compromised so you can control and change passwords, close old accounts, and so on. Which is helpful if you're like 99% of the planet and use the same password for everything. As the world is only getting more technological, we know that major security breaches happen all the time. Just think of all those guys over at Ashley Madison a couple years ago. Yeah, 30 million users had their email addresses, credit card information, and weird sexual fantasies leaked. Yikes. So you type in your email address and Surfshark Alert will scan the internet and find any data that has been leaked. I did this with 2 of my main email addresses and found one had a breach, which freaks me out big time, so promptly had to fix that bad boy. You can also search links for your credit card and IDs as well. So use code Sydney Watson to get 75% off, 3 extra months free, and a Surfshark VPN subscription also for free when you click the link in the description. I just want to add before we look at these tweets that I try my best not to judge parents because I do know, or at least understand, that in some capacity, or maybe all of them, raising tiny raisin people is pretty difficult. But in this case, I think these people need a psychological evaluation. And so, the 14-day isolation begins. Nothing has broken my heart like the sound of my 10-year-old crying while I sit on the other side of the door and tell him 14 days will go quickly, hoping a PH calls so we can get some advice and answers.
Nice.
I'm not a parent, so maybe I'm wrong here, but what fresh hell is this? I gotta say, this woman's avatar having a Karen haircut is just the greatest thing. Why do they always look like this, even when they're cartoons? Okay, that one was real. Turns out my heart can break more. Well, I don't have a heart, and I still wouldn't do this to my offspring. What do you mean you don't have a heart? I have literally watched you cry watching children's films. Treasure Planet is a cinematic masterpiece about a young man and his relationship with a cyborg. It's beautiful. Holding my 7-year-old while he cries because he misses his big brother and feels so alone is devastating. I cried, he cried, we all cried, but we are healthy and we are safe and we hang on to that. I mean, are you still considered healthy if you're brainwashed? Are you still safe if daddy government makes you put your kids in solitary confinement because they mismanaged the sniffles? And take away your guns? Nobody is taking anyone's guns away here, Sydney. Yep, I suppose you're right. And that's probably because they already did that. Actually, did they do that in Canada? I gotta be honest, I don't know a tremendous amount about White Walkers. Anyway, this woman and her experience was not a standalone. No, because this is purgatory, and you're not done suffering. And apparently neither are the kids. Exactly us too. I have my 7-year-old in isolation downstairs. He keeps messaging me on Facebook Messenger, "Mummy, I'm lonely." My 5-year-old wrote in his journal entry today that he is sad because his brother isn't here. I set up a baby monitor to let 8-year-old ask for things. 5-year-old is using it to talk to 8-year-old. There's a lot to unpack here. On a serious note, I don't know what a 7-year-old is doing with a Facebook in the first place. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I find it a little ironic that parents let their kids have access to the internet in such large quantities where, I don't know, predators are that groom them and do weird things and whatever. Because, I don't know, that's fine and safe, I guess. But then they'll go and lock their kid in solitary confinement for 2 weeks away from all other human beings because they want to protect them from a sniffle that has the same survival rate as the flu. Gotcha. I've got 2 words for you people. I've said it once, but I'm gonna say it again. Parenting licenses. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe not, because the government would control that as well, and let's be real, the government is not good at doing anything except taxing you. They seem to have that one down pat. I was sick at the end of November and had to isolate from my 6, 4, and 2-year-old. Hearing my baby cry for me at night was devastating. Hey, what do you think about parenting licenses? Parenting licenses? Like for cats? No, kids, like children. Why, Sydney, why would anybody want a kid? Now, because this is stupid and children should not be left alone because, I don't know, they can't do basic human activities like feed themselves or regulate their emotions, the region in question walked back their guidelines saying that yes, you should still isolate your child, but use common sense. Fam, it's 2021. We're currently living in a time where people say things like Wumexen, and ban Dr. Seuss books for being racist. I'm pretty sure that common sense is in short supply.
Basic human intelligence.
For children, we know that a caregiver may need to, children need people around. What is happening right now? Oh my God. A caregiver may need to isolate with them to help with daily living, such as bathing, feeding, clothing, and emotional support. You don't say. The mayor of the area also apologized, saying that the original guidelines were a mistake and need to be fixed. And I also saw one comment from a parent saying that schools are still informing parents that they have to isolate their children alone if they can't have a caregiver around. And I don't even know what to say. I am very confused. Because the majority of 2021 causes me to have an emotional reaction that's on the same level as Varys' facial expressions in Game of Thrones scenes.
You can do better than that.
But jokes aside, I do want to make a serious point here. The psychological, emotional, mental effects of all of this, not just on adults, but on children as well, are going to be enormous. not only now, but later down the line as well. I mean, we need only look at examples from even the last few weeks of children taking their own lives because they feel isolated and cut off from the world. In the original article about this issue, experts in virology and psychology said that isolating your kids away from everyone else is cruel punishment, doesn't seem practically possible, and is highly likely to cause harm to children who would already be experiencing considerable distress about having to remain home. There's also skepticism, and these people also said that there's just no science behind this. One infectious disease expert at Hamilton Health Science added that this is shocking because this is being proposed for children who are not in any way sick. And while I don't necessarily want to go down the road of discussing how the sniffles affects children, we do know that it affects them at the same rate or in the same way as the flu, or to a much lesser extent. So obviously my biggest concern with stories and stories like this is that it's just effectively child abuse. And I don't think that parents are thinking through what they're doing. They're just answering to the gospel of daddy government, even to the detriment of their own children. And need I remind everyone that solitary confinement is literally used as a method of torture. Personally, torture for me is having to read these kind of stories in the first place. And knowing that, I still would take reading them over being locked in a room by myself for 14 days. We've talked about loneliness on this channel before, and every research paper or study that I read while researching for this video said that it is a huge factor in children experiencing depression and anxiety during this time. And I come back to the fact that these parents, in their weird, misguided way, are trying to do the right thing, I assume, for their kids, but are just completely lacking common sense in the way that they're going about it. I think fear makes people stupid. Government doesn't know best. I'm sorry, and I'm getting really tired of people acting like they do. We don't trust government to do basically anything else. We're constantly criticizing them for their response to basically every social situation on the planet, and yet when it comes to this is when people finally start listening to them. This is what you pick to listen to? Frankly, it is bizarre to me that the government is effectively promoting people emotionally abusing their kids, and parents are following through with that. So I just wanted to get that off my chest because it breaks one of my 2 rules. You don't mess with animals and you don't mess with kids. I want to add here too that I'm sorry that I haven't gone into this topic in the usual way that I would. I would have loved to have looked at, the way that the sniffles affects children and loneliness in kids and how this is affecting them generally, but YouTube seems to go after content of mine right now and age restrict when I talk about kids, or they delete videos that reference kids. So there is that. So I am in fact trying to protect myself because I am a sellout and a baby. So on that front, I will be kicking off a podcast in the next couple weeks where I will talk about the non-YouTube approved topics in greater detail if you guys are interested in that. And like I said in the last video, I will be kicking off my website when it's done being made pretty, where I will be posting other content that's also non-YouTube approved, because you can't delete it from my own website. Probably worth subscribing to my email list there. I will let you know when I upload and yada yada, but I won't send you annoying emails because even I hate that. So in the end, do not torture your children because the government told you to. It doesn't make you a very nice parent. Now, before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder that you can download Surfshark Alert using the link in the description. When you do, you'll receive 75% off, 3 extra months free, and a Surfshark VPN subscription on top of all of that. Now, I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Is this topic as crazy as I think it is? Is this actually on the same level as child abuse? Is this necessary to keep people safe? Should the government completely butt out? And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Just be respectful about it. And I will see you guys next time.